Good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to this session regarding how algae will help to tackle some climate problem that we have currently. Let me introduce first to Dr. Ali. Dr. Ali, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Masal khair. Good afternoon, everybody. Ali Sheikhi from MENA. Our session today is related to the algae future in Saudi Arabia. Dr. Claudio from KAUST, he will focus on the technical part. I will support him in the regulatory and the strategic approach of the Saudi Arabia and the opportunities in algae sector.
Thank you very much. Yes, well, I'm Claudio Gruner from KAUST. We are developing currently a project funded by MENA where we are establishing this technology in the kingdom, which is a quite important technology because everywhere in the world they are using this technology in order not only to tackle or to cope with CO2 or to cope with water bioremediation, but mainly for feed and food. This is one of the key elements, and in this country is one hot topic that we need to address, which is food security.
This is a very interesting subject. The algae, in the past you know that it's for carbon emission only. But today you mentioned that's food for human, medicine,
biostimulant, agriculture,
plastic,
bioplastic, yes.
This is a lot of opportunities behind this what you call topic.
Yes. So today we will show first the technical part will be what we are doing currently at KAUST. So
before we go to that one, why Saudi Arabia has advantage in this what you call business?
Yes, a good point, yes. So Saudi Arabia is blessed because we have the most important thing for a photosynthetic organism is light. So we have a lot of light irradiation, plenty of sun, this is really good, a good photoperiod. What that means is that we don't have difference between winter and summertime in terms of hours of light, because we are pretty close to the equator, so that is something important. Plus we have flat land in both coasts, in the Red Sea coast and in the Arabian Gulf. Plus we have a really good CO2 sources that we can use, good infrastructure, excellent quality of water in both places. So in the Red Sea coast we have pristine seawater, and in the Arabian Gulf too. So there is a lot of opportunity, and you will see during the presentation why we are targeting this and why we are obtaining these pretty good results from this project.
What is the link with CO2?
Well, basically, algae or photosynthetic organisms like grass or trees in the earth, on sea, photosynthetic organisms, microalgae and macroalgae, which are the primary producer, they need specifically three elements. They need carbon, they need nitrogen, and they need phosphorus. And the carbon is basically uptaken from the CO2 emission. So whenever they uptake, they break the molecule and they release the oxygen that we breathe. And they get the carbon to create that biomass.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Very interesting.
Okay, so the idea would be to start with the presentation. Yes, so this is the title, How Algae Technology in Saudi Arabia Have a Role in Climate Action. We have done together this with Dr. Ali, and we will present some of the specific results that we have obtained. As you can see, in this case, we are focused on food security. This is something really important for the kingdom, not only for the kingdom, for any country in the world, this is really important. So the protein that is basically used for feed for animals is coming mainly from fish meal, barley, and wheat, all right, and also soybean. Then we have the carbohydrate fraction, starch, glucose, and then the lipid fraction mainly from fish oil, right? The beauty of algae is that at sea, they are the primary producer. And as you can see, for instance, in lipids, the higher trophic level, they are not able to synthesize these lipids, so they have to take it from algae. So by producing algae, we can produce these three main fractions, and that can be included in the feed for animals. Okay? So as you were asking, why algae production and biotechnology in Saudi Arabia? Because naturally the algae grow in this country. Probably you haven't realized, but for instance, in the Red Sea, we have a massive forest of sargassum. Sargassum, for other countries, is a problem. It's a seaweed that is floating in the Atlantic Ocean and normally bloom every single summer in the Caribbean coast, and it is a massive issue for those countries. In our case, what we have found in this project that this seaweed have a seasonal behavior, and that is in the whole Red Sea coast from Tabuk and north down south to Jizan. You can see everywhere. So normally in the Red Sea coast, you have a small lagoon, and then you have the reef of coral reef. No? So at the edge of that lagoon, you have this massive forest of sargassum. What we know now is that from August, September time until November is the peak season, and that is the time that we can exploit this, which is an unexploited resource. But we can exploit, and from this algae we can produce, for instance, bioplastic, or we can use the carbohydrate fraction.
You mean that we can harvest directly from the sea, or
directly from the sea? And actually, that is one of the questions that we have asked: when to harvest? Because what we need to do first is to know the biology of the algae, knowing when they have to reproduce, then we can harvest. After reproduction, we harvest.
We have currently ongoing case in Farasan Island. There is a bloom there. There is mortality, and it's became the surface of the sea.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that
and this is related to the increase the temperature and maybe.
Well, that one is potentially, that bloom is microalgae, and its potential is because of there is several, let's say, parameters that trigger a bloom, a microalgae bloom. As you can see here, we have that microalgae bloom in this one. This is a microalgae bloom in Mastora, all right? This is a place, here you can see northern Jeddah, and this is a bloom, a specific algae is called Dunanila salina, all right? We went there, we collect the sample, and this microalgae is basically is a beta-carotene producer. All right, so that is something that is unexploited, yes, in the country.
And this is by natural, right?
Natural. This is naturally grown because the parameter that they like is really high salinity.
What is the use of the Dunella?
For beta-carotene.
Beta-carotene.
Yeah, it's an expensive, really expensive pigment. All right, the same pigment that is give the color to the carrots.
Yeah, the beta-carotene used for food, for
for food, for
coloring, for
nourriture, nutrition. Ils peuvent aussi utiliser toutes choses de cette, c'est l'idéologie de cette ici en Arabie Saoudite.
Back in 2016, right? And then in 2021, we start with this project.
Nous avons commencé ce produit en 2020 et quand nous avons terminé avec KAUST, nous avons une pilote de facilité. Nous avons commencé avec l'infrastructure. Ici, comme vous le voyez, nous avons commencé la construction. Nous avons ici débridation et nous avons commencé la production en juin 2020. Comme vous voyez, le plus important ici, c'est le plan. Pourquoi il est important? Parce que nous avons construire et produire de différents contenus. Et qu'est-ce que nous avons achevé de notre projet? C'est le point commun pour le meilleure alimentation qui s'appelle superfood en anglais. Nous avons ici qui vient de le gouvernement. Ces microbiologies qui peut nous donner d'eau fraîche. C'est sur le durablement de l'eau qui est basé sur l'eau microbiologique que nous avons évoquée et spécifiquement des eaux qui viennent de l'eau, de la mer, avec la chaleur médiocre. Et puis, qu'est-ce qu'ils font ici en Europe? Par exemple, ils ont un environnement paisible et pour le système d'énergie, et ils ne peuvent faire notre mieux. La question suivante, elle est importante. Qu'est-ce qui différence spirulina entre ces pays en Chine, en Europe, en Arabie Saoudite? Est-ce qu'il est attractif? Le plus important ici, que nous avons collecté et établi le banque, et nous avons bien réussi. Et nous avons quelques tests et à l'emplacement ce projet, et puis nous avons des biochimies et c'est la période qu'on appelle microbiologie par les biochimiques. Nous avons identifié
that is the next one that will be in higher scale. So where we are now, we are about to launch the what we call the phase 2. This is we are now commissioning is there in that corner. We are commissioning this plant. We went from our pilot plant, which is 1,000 square meter or 0.1 hectare, to a 4.2 hectare plant, right? So this is something remarkable. Why? And we have done in less than a year, all right? So from scratch, in less than a year, we have designed, built, and now we are commissioning this plant to start. Actually, we will do the inauguration last week of November, so everyone is invited to that inauguration of the plant at KAUST, all right? And what is the beauty of this one? First of all, we will keep validating the data from pilot plant, and according to the data from pilot plant, in this 4.2 hectare facility, we will be producing between 60 to 100 tons of dry biomass, spirulina dry biomass per year, all right? Perhaps you think that is not a big number, but what is the most important thing is that in Europe, there are over 340 companies producing algae. And in 2021, the entire continent, entire Europe, they produced 500 tons. So we, with only one 4.2 hectare facilities, we can produce nearly 20% of the entire European production. So for us, the target is not Europe. The target is China, because China are the ones who are producing thousands and thousands of tons of biomass. We know that we can produce, and the idea of this one is to start with this 4.2 hectare, but we were discussing with Dr. Ali that the aim is to go one order to magnitude higher every single year. So we're supposed to, next year, to start building 40 hectares, right? To achieve the, let's say, independency, to start producing our own raw material for feed for animals. That is the Vision 2030 target.
Just to make it clearer for the audience, the first project is 1,000 square meter.
Yes.
The second will be 40,000.
Yes.
Not 4,000, it will be 40,000.
All right, yeah.
Right? It will make a big difference.
Yes, yes, of
and
course.
This is a real investment from the government, because we believe that algae is a future, and the potential in Saudi is huge. For that, we are focusing to invest, and every year we have a clear target, and this one will be go beyond the KAUST and MENA to the private sector to help and to develop the business in Saudi.
Yes. Yes, definitely. And currently, with the biomass that we are producing in the pilot plant, we are currently running a fish trial, okay, with the pompano fish, which is a local species. We are doing the digestibility test in that one. We are about to start the chicken trial. And once we are up and ready with the operation of the big plant, we're going to start producing tons in order to do a large-scale experiment in, for instance, in Nagua with shrimp production, right? So that is the idea. Step by step, we are achieving what we have done, what we have the government.
And dealing with the feed companies as well.
Yes, of course.
Feed companies now, they are partner in this, what called the output, and it will be reflected directly to the private sector.
Yes, yes, and this is a critical point we were discussing with Dr. Ali. So nowadays, there is a massive lack of fish meal worldwide.
Yes.
Why? Basically, because there is a El Niño event, all right, and Peru and Chile, which are the biggest fish meal producer in the world, they cut the production, all right, and the price is nearly 2,000 USD per ton currently. So that is another warning light to say, all right, let's gonna keep doing this, let's gonna keep increasing the production in the kingdom of algae to be able to support the feed industry.
From a strategic perspective, we need to save our what you call resources or raw material, and by identify the replacement protein, especially for fish meal and fish oil. And we believe algae is the one it can replace in the future for all the fish meal production.
Yes. Okay, so, but one of the key points as well is not only work with microalgae, that is why we are using seaweed too. As you can see here, we have our staff that is growing, in this case, ulva. We just started last week the operation of this large raceway at Nagua. So what we are doing here, we are using, in this case, this one was the water test, that is why I have this color, but the last Thursday we start the operation and we use this inoculum. What we have done, we brought these parents from Nagua, we reproduce them, we get babies at KAUST, and then these juvenile plants, we went back to Nagua and to start with the trial in this raceway. The idea in this case is to collect the water that is with the ammonium and phosphate from the shrimp pond and to use as a nutrient for the ulva, right? So this is, the idea would be to know the bioremediation capacity of this seaweed, right? And knowing that, then we will plant in those big channels that they have in order to bioremediate. And with the biomass, we will use that biomass for the carbohydrate fraction of the feed for animals. Okay, we produce different form depending on the industry that we are targeting. For instance, this is the hydrolyzed biomass from spirulina. It looks like the fish meal, and it has a high content of protein, over 60%. This is the standard biomass from spirulina, sun-dried biomass, but also we have frozen biomass for instance, for hatchery purpose, or we have fresh concentrated biomass too, right? So different industry we support for the, and actually now this is quite important. We are supporting the coral hatchery at KAUST, all right, in order to support them, because coral, they eat a live food, Artemia, rotifer, and this. So we are supporting them by providing the algae that feed the live food and then the coral. So it's not only about aquaculture or animal, we also are helping to protect the beautiful coral reef of the Red Sea.
And this is really supporting the environment and to protect all the existing coral and to increase the coral.
And actually what we are doing is because we are in the, let's say, the key stage, which is the hatchery, to produce more juvenile, more babies of coral. So that is quite important.
And the good thing, the algae is grown very dramatically huge and fast.
No, and we are obtaining pretty good results. Another achievement that we want to highlight here is that we are developing Saudi human capabilities. So basically, we are really focused on capacity building. We know that we need to train the next generation of algae scientists and algae farmers in the kingdoms, because we cannot establish this industry without knowledge. So that is something remarkable from this project too. We are currently, out of 100% of the staff, nearly 60% is Saudi people, and out of that 60%, nearly 50% is women. So are women, and this is something that we need to say to everyone, that we need to promote this. And actually, when we want to go to large scale, this will be really beneficial for rural people. So we can convert the fisherman or agricultural farmer to algae farmers, all right? And because all this project in larger scale will be established, and not in city, will be established next to CO2 sources like thermal power plant or this. So it will help to improve the local economy and for social welfare for families.
For developing the local, we had a clear plan for algae development, and we started last year sending few people to Chile for 1 month.
Yep.
Training. They learn a lot, and they back with their what you call international experience. Now, the good thing now, there is a lot of what you call collaboration and corresponding with different experts from different country, and those Saudis, they interact with them always, and this is one of the fastest development process.
Yeah, no, and actually this is something that we need to highlight, that we have been done a lot of networking. So everyone, and this is really, I was before yesterday in Paris, invited by the European Commission, because they know that we are doing a really good work, and all eyes are on us, because they know that Saudi have a massive potential, and having the government support, they know that we will be competing with them and with China for the production of this. And human capability is key. Is key.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And as we mentioned before we came here to the stage, we've been approached by a few companies from Europe. They know the potential in Saudi and the limitation in Europe. And for that, really, they are very keen to come to Saudi to build their business here.
Yeah, in the next slide, you will see why we are saying this. Okay, so why algae production in desert countries, specifically in the MENA region? This is the MENA climate grid, or GCC2. So these are the reasons. There are two main reasons, climatic and biological reasons. Why? I will explain to you now. This is a paper that was published in 2022, and as you can see here, this is what they call the hot belt countries, right? And you have here the scale where it say the amount of kilogram per hectare per year, right? With the data that we are obtaining from the pilot plant, we are in this range, right? So this is the range, which exactly is what we would expect here, all right? So this is the biological reason. Just because of the light that we receive, we're able to produce this biomass, all right? And the beauty is that we are validating the model. So the model, what the model is saying is what we are obtaining, which is pretty good, all right? Then, and this is what I showed to the European Commission this week, all right? There, for instance, in our case, in Saudi, we have land availability in both coasts, right? Full of land, flat land, which is really important. In Europe or in other countries like the States, the pressure on coast is massive. So they don't have any space anymore, because they use that space mainly for tourism or for the population. In our case, we have plenty of land, and that is something remarkable that we need to highlight. Also, the land cost. The land cost in Euro State or even in China is really expensive. Knowing that we can have that availability here, that is something remarkable too. Energy cost, and this is what the people from Europe were talking about this number. Currently, nowadays, 1 kilowatt in euro, it costs as an average 20 cents of euro. Right? 1 kilowatt. In this country, it's less than 1 cent. So knowing that we produce cheap energy, and with that energy is the main cost during your operation, that will provide more and more kind of reducing the cost of production. All right. also the workforce cost, all right? So that is something remarkable too, because for instance, the unskilled labor in Europe is really high, all right? So they cannot compete with the workforce cost. And finally, legislation. That is something that we will address soon, because that is one of the key questions that they ask. When you will have the legislation for algae production. And this is something that is a to-do for us, and probably, hopefully, by 2024, we can have a regulation for the country, and that if we have this one, it will attract a lot of investors. This is the idea. Right, so all these are the reasons why we do believe, and we truly believe, that algae will be the next big industry in the kingdom. This is the impact of algae technology in KSA. So as we explained before, the idea would be to go one order of magnitude higher every single year. So now we're going to start in 2024 with 4 hectare, then 25 should be 40, 2020, and so on, you know. So the idea by 2030 should be to have this 100,000 hectares. According to the numbers that we have done using the validated number from the pilot plan, we will be, first of all, producing 43 million tons of biomass per year, all right? Knowing 100,000 hectares of production, all right? The potential business is 2.1 billion a year, all right? Also, we will be creating over 200,000 jobs by 2030. And by that time, probably we will be, instead of being a net exporter of feed, we will be an exporter. Then environmental gains, we will be treating more than 11 billion of cubic meter of seawater, all right? We will be uptaking 79 million tons of CO2. We will be avoiding eutrophication. This will is social, job creation, improve economy, and of course for the government, improve food security, reinforce Saudi Green Initiative, reach the Vision 2030 objective, and improve the green credential of the country. This is important. And what is all what we have said now related to this climate week? So this is something that we will say now. So the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, if the action is to produce larger scale algae production for animal feed, bulk algae commodity producer, CO2 capture, seawater bioremediation, and job creation. All these are the goals that we are addressing, right? So basically, nearly all of them we are addressing, because economic development and job, zero hunger, good health, well-being, fair value chain, secure job, all right, and so on. Climate action, uptaking the CO2, life below water, bioremediating the seawater, life of land, so improving the life of the people, strengthening coastal communities. So this is something remarkable. With this technology, we can address several UN SDG.
Yeah, question here is very important. Now, with this SDG goals and the potential of action, which you mentioned, that what Saudi and the government is looking for, I think the rural development will be taking track in this side.
Yes.
But the investment in algae, everybody will believe that is huge. They cannot afford it in the rural development. Mm-hmm. How can you simplify the cost or the investment, what you call in algae?
Yes, so that is something that we are tackling now. The idea would be to reduce, normally, just to provide you an idea, the amount of capital that you need to use for create 1 hectare, including everything from lab to downstream process to final product, is between 0.8 to 1.2 million USD, right, per hectare. Our goal is to go half of that, right? Because now we know that the technology, we know how to make it cheaper, all right? And the idea would be to develop this in the rural communities, all right? Knowing that we can reduce the capex, potentially we will reduce the OPEX too. And that is something important and remarkable.
Could be there is any sharing capex and the grow out potential can phases or spread?
Yeah, no, and actually the idea would be not to, so our idea is to create what we call hub, all right? So we will create several farms, for instance, 10-hectare farms, all right? And it's gonna be a central hub for downstream process. So not each farm will have their own downstream process area, because in CAPEX, especially for algae technology, most of the money is go to the downstream process,
Yes.
right? Not for culture. Downstream process is the most expensive stuff. So the idea would be to have several different farms that will fit one central area where it's going to be all the downstream process.
Okay, let's be away from my position and your position. If you've been advisor to the government, will you recommend to create small facilities and to give it to the people in the villages?
And actually, that is the idea. When we say small, 10 hectare, 5 to 10 hectare is something that can be handled for a village. You know? So, for instance, Mastura or Ravik or any other, not village, a bit city, but the workforce can come from those cities to work next to it. You know, because at the very end, all the area that we are mapping currently it provide us that area between Jambu or even northern of Jambu down to Al-Lith, Jizan is all that area that we will use for this one, and created this small parcels, small area with farms that will help to the rural communities. And in a way it's simple, right? You need to have, of course, knowledge mainly in the downstream process, but to grow algae at larger scale is farming. It's basically farming.
Definitely. And we have seen the photo that for Donella, it's grown alone. That means could be a ground for villages or small community to manage and to develop that site.
Yes, and we need to valorize as well that there will be along the whole chain, production chain, not only because if you bring that let's say technology and we create this farm, it's going to be more job for everyone, for the small shop, for the mechanical guy, for the guy who sells all the pipes and everything. Yeah,
definitely. And this is here we'll find the role for the big companies, how to support the communities by creating what you call new initiative, or by products from there.
No, and actually what we have talked, this is something that we need to say, and we need to send a clear message to all stakeholders. And when I say all stakeholders, we need to do this something together. We need to do this together because otherwise we are not going to make it. What does mean? We need to involve, for instance, SAVIC. We need the fertilizers, so SAVIC should be with us working hand to hand. Also, we need, for instance, Arasco. Arasco will be the company who will get all this product and to create the feed for animal. We need to get, for instance, small companies, small in a way, you know, but we need to have Petroravi for the CO2. We need to have Aramco for the CO2. We need to have SWCC for the water, for primary. So all the stakeholders would join this effort and together to keep doing the work that we are doing, but in a larger scale.
Yeah, you mentioned also in your previous slide when we talk about the building capacity and the engagement of Saudis, 60% of your what you call production team women.
Yeah.
Where they can fit for small what you call hectares.
Yeah, no. Actually, this is something that for instance, in larger scale farming, yes, you need let's say men for strength, but also you need precision in when you measure your daily activities. You need people that work in the lab, and the best people are females, because females are more precise. They are more gentle to do the stuff. So that is the people that we will need in this small farm. Yeah.
In the lab and in processing, right?
Processing as well. Actually, you saw the picture. Yeah. Our leader is a female in the downstream process area. Also, you will need admin. You will need people that work in this technology. Yes.
Sure. You mentioned also there is in the previous slide, 200,000 jobs can be created if we cultivate 100,000 hectares.
Yes.
Now, is it 1 to 2 or?
Yeah. So when you go to that larger scale, normally in a normal case you need around 7 people distributed all over. So some people for the lab, some people for downstream process, and some people for the cultivation part. But the ratio is 2-to-1. Normally, in larger scale, with 2 people, you can manage 1 hectare of cultivation. And then the rest of the video is in the hub, central hub for downstream process.
There is any experiment done by different products together?
Yes, that what we are doing now, and this is something that we need to mention. This is what we do is what we call enzymatic hydrolysis, and we use the biomass, and we get at the very end of this process, we get 2 products, which is the solid fraction that is good for feed for animal, but also the liquid fraction, where most of the solubilized protein goes to that liquid fraction, and we are testing currently that as a biostimulant for plants, right? We are testing in tomatoes, we are testing in Arabidopsis, and quite soon we're going to start testing in date palms. This is for, let's say, bulk commodities, but also we can fine-tune and we can produce high-value metabolite. We can produce, for instance, and probably you will see in our booth here in the Climate Action Week, you will see the product that we are producing. You will see the pigment, specific pigment that are really, really expensive. For instance, from Arthrospira, we produce phycocyanin. And phycocyanin is a proven food colorant in the United States. And that is going to be one of the products that we will be producing too. So we will apply the biorefinery concept.
In your experience, there is any product worldwide have around 12 SDG goal together?
It's really hard to find.
Yeah, very difficult.
Yeah.
This is really a good sign that algae is not only it's for human, for the community, for the environment, for better life, for everything.
Yes, you are right. And that is something remarkable because with one technology that can be applied to different industry, will help the entire environment, entire social, and also economy.
Perfect.
Yes, so, well, this is, I think, is the last one. Yes. I don't know if the audience they have question. We are really pleased to answer any question that you have. No technical, it cannot be technical question. It can be any.
We try to make it a conversation and Q&A, just to not to make it boring for you, because we know that the end of the day is quite difficult.
I hope the sound is very clear.
Yes.
Good. There is an echo. So this is Abdurrahman Rihali. I'm Senior Manager Business Development in the Ministry of Investment in the biotechnology sector. So always when it comes to biomass, it's a very challenge to the kingdom because of the agriculture side. To develop a biotechnology industry and even products. So using the algae in the biomass is really very promising one, and I'm sure that KAUST with the Ministry of Environment, Water and Agriculture is working on that. But what are the products that can be achieved from the biomass of the algae? I mean, like, can we produce a biofuel? Can we produce biofertilizer? Can we produce a bioplastic out of these algae? And if you can explain a little bit more on that.
Yes, so with the biomass, you can do several different products, and that's what we have talked regarding the biorefinery concept, right? The target for MIWA is feed for animals, right? The target, for instance, for the Ministry of Energy could be biofuels, right? With the same process, currently what we are producing, 2 main products, as explained. We are producing the feed for animal and the biostimulant for plants. This is really important because the lack of organic matter in this country for plants, that is an issue. And by providing this organic matter as a biostimulant in agricultural stuff is something remarkable that we are testing now, and we will launch soon this product to the market, potentially, all right? Also, there is a room for bioplastic. As I say, for instance, during our presentation, there is a massive forest of sargassum that could be really useful for bioplastic production, right? So there is huge opportunity, and there are several products that we can address. We, the government and the different ministries, they need to say, all right, let's gonna focus on this, on that. Currently, I think it's a pretty clear idea to focus on feed for animal because this is a need for the country. But definitely we can produce several.
Just to elaborate a little bit, Inji Abdurrahman, all of the raw material for feed, it's imported. And during the COVID-19, we find that we should create something for ourselves. And algae could be the replacement for the protein which we import. And now we are comparing with the fish meal. We hope that in phase 2 will prove in further the approach. However, there is plenty of option. We count in Saudi around 8 products would come from the algae. It will go for cosmetic, medicine, human food, plus the feed of animal, and biofuel, bioplastic, and all those things. It will take place for the experiment. Now, our approach now, maybe we'll work with you in MENA to attract the private sector and to the related companies to the different vertical aspects. Like if you go to the Ministry of Health, الشركات الصحية مثلا والدوائية, there is a potential for creating all the pharmaceutical products from algae, and also the cosmetics.
Yes,
it's big business, huge. And this type, I think, in the future, we are going step by step. By end of 24, I think we will be able to prove in all the what you call products for commercialization.
No, and actually, I invite you to everyone to visit the booth, and you will see the product with your hands. You will see the pigment that we are producing, the hydrolyzed biomass, the sun-dried biomass, the biostimulant. All these products are tangible products that you can see in there.
Before the conversation, we discussed for the sale, how much we sold the product.
Yeah.
Up to this level we reach, alhamdulillah.
More questions? Yes?
Hello, everyone. My name is Khalid Al-Harthi. I'm from the Ministry of Energy. Thank you for a very informative, interactive session. I had a question on the potential for CO2 capture. You know, we have the CCE here in Saudi Arabia, the circular carbon economy, and one very main component of it is the removal. And within removal, we have nature-based solutions. And this is why I said this is very informative, because when I think of nature-based solutions, I think, for example, of mangroves. But I never thought of algae as a, let's say, carbon capture tool, nature tool, basically. Could you elaborate on the potential of algae, and why is it that people, when they think about nature-based solutions, they don't think of algae, they think of other plants?
Yeah, thank you very much for your question. And definitely algae is one of the key organisms that they can uptake CO2. Right? They can uptake carbon in any form, but CO2 is the best one because it's solubilized straight away in water, so that is easy for the algae. As I explained during the presentation, algae needs carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus. And carbon is the key one, because that one is the one that they use for growth, and that is the carbon is mainly for lipid fraction and carbohydrate fraction. All right? As a general rule, for every 1 kilogram of dry biomass that you produce, you can uptake 1.8 kilogram of CO2. That is the general rule with the common algae. We have published in 2023, this year, a really nice paper where in KAUST facility in MIWA-funded project, we have used an extremophile algae, right? Extremophile are organisms that are really, they can cope with harsh conditions. This extremophile algae, it's grown naturally at 44, 46 Celsius degrees. But the most important part is that they grow at really low pH. When I'm talking about really low pH, it's pH 2.5, lemon pH, all right? And in order to keep that pH At that low, you need to inject in a continuous basis CO2. In a standard common algae, normally the mixture of CO2 pressurized air is 2.5 against 97.5. And this one is around 10, all right? So to keep the medium growing and the algae growing at that pH, you need to inject, and they uptake all that CO2 in there because we did it in a closed system. So in that case, potentially, instead of uptake 1.8 kilogram, you can uptake up to 2.5 kilogram. And that is something remarkable. And the beauty is that that algae need heat. So need environment like what we have here, right? It's a paper. Later on, I can provide you my card, and you can read that paper. So the potential for CO2 capture, and especially the way that you have done all the electricity, the energy that is in the whole Red Sea coast and in the Arabian Gulf, every 200 to 300 kilometers, we have a CO2 sources. Wind is compulsory for us. If we want to go to large scale, it's compulsory to be next to a CO2 emitter. We cannot grow algae without CO2. Yeah. And that is something that is, I think, the complementarity between MIWA and the Ministry of Energy is there because we need that CO2.
And by the way, we are working with your team, with the CCE team from Ministry of Energy, and phase 2 precisely done for what you call this experiment. Yes. And hopefully by next month, the official opening. And every month we will have a result and data, which will encourage, I think, all the petrochemicals and CO2 producer to work with us. And as he said, it's complementary, what you call, product.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Any other question? Comment? No?
Yeah, we would like to thank you for your time spent with us, and hopefully that you gain something for your what you call knowledge and to know the Saudi approach in this sector. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to everyone.